Wonderful. Welcome, everybody. My name's Missy Shipman. Thank you to Julia at the Baldwinsville Public Library for partnering once again to bring you our monthly Zoom virtual card making class. I want to start off just by sharing some of the fun kit cards that we have available for our Let's Kit Together event tomorrow morning at the library, Friday, October 10th. And we will be I'll have lots of options of holiday kits and some cute Halloween boxes. Treat Favor boxes is one of our kits, some Christmas ones, and of course the all year round birthday and gratitude cards of Thanksgiving. Tonight, though, we have four cards that are Halloween and Thanksgiving themed cards. Next month, we'll dive into some Christmas and winter themes. But we want to thank you for being part of our virtual class. We've been doing this for over 5 years, and so there are over 60 recordings in the YouTube channel with a playlist that you can click on and go back and see all kinds of inspiring projects and funny goofs and there are no mistakes in stamping, only opportunities for layering and embellishing. So it's always fun to use what you have. We have kits available each month that you can pick up at the library for a suggested $5 donation that include the supplies you need to make the projects that I show. But we also welcome you to use what you have, and you could borrow stamps from the library if you don't have any greetings, or you can add greetings with your hand or printed computer generated sentiments in your cards. The best thing, though, is to make a card and send a card. It's fun to make them, but they need to get in the mailbox too, or on somebody's desk or in their lunchbox. So tonight we're going to be making, this one is a fun card that kind of has a pull-out format. I love this particular paper, and I'll show you some fun stamping tips and tricks on this one too. We also have a pumpkin card that's made with punches. These are, whoops, sometimes it's hard to know which side to point onto things. These are the punched paper with ovals. And I'm going to share with you all of you will have a different greeting with this beautiful foil sentiment. And then we have two fun Halloween projects. So it's four projects tonight. One is an origami project, which is really fun with a 6x6 designer series paper. So you had a Ghirardelli in your kit this month. I won't tell if you eat it tonight or when you're working on your projects. Chocolate always makes crafting more fun. But I will show you how you can make it for a little favor, or a tea bag also could fit inside. And then we have this cute little Halloween box, which is ready. Again, it's sort of a matchbox design, and you can fill that with goodies. Cash always works, love notes, jelly beans. Do you have jelly beans year round, Julia, or is that one you only reserve for Easter time?
Pretty much just Easter, but there's candy corns around this time.
Candy corn is ideal, of course, of the season. Candy corn and peanuts. If you have not tried that combination yet, it tastes like a Snickers bar. Really, really, really good. So, okay. So let's begin tonight with our pumpkin card. And I'm going to show you in your kit, there are actually two projects in this card envelope with the foil. There are actually supplies for two projects. So we'll carefully take them out. We have the card is in here, the folded gold card, and inside this are all the little pieces that we'll need. So if you can take those out carefully, the other pieces we'll leave in the envelope for our origami project. And then if we want to switch down to my hands, Julia, I will show people there we are, all of the supplies that you'll have inside. There's this beautifully foiled paper card, and I love the weight of it and that it has this beautiful shine. And so to complement that, I wanted to use some foil paper with our sentiments. And these were created with a die that also has an embossing folder that coordinates with it. So this is a cool product, and you can see it has a lot of different choices. Some of you will have thank you or celebrate or thinking of you or this wonderful hello. But I just want to show you how cool this is as a tool that I use with my Stampin' Cut emboss machine. So I put the foil paper inside, and then this is the metal die that actually cuts the paper. And this embossing folder has raised pieces in it. So when it rolls through the machine, the pressure embosses or debosses or pushes the pattern into the paper. And then this die piece cuts it. So it's a really neat hybrid folder. And I did that several times so that, again, we'd have a variety of greetings. There's even get well and with sympathy, love you, oh, happy day. So I chose for each of you to have a sentiment that I thought would be a happy harvest kind of greeting. And let me put those aside here. We'll just keep the hello out to work with. Then we also have some pieces that I punched that have leaves. And this is actually a little bird wing, but we're going to take some scissors to snip this. Oh, I hope my scissors are not, there they are. Just got to reach over for a minute. What I did was take that shape, this bird wing shape, or it looks like the top of a flame for a birthday candle. And I'm just going to snip this so that it's got more of a straight edge there so that it can be the stem of our pumpkin. Okay. So we're going to build our little pumpkin. Um, and you'll notice I am adding just a little bit of shading with some ink. And this is a sponge dauber. I can wear like a little finger puppet. And I'm going to, the very scientific term is flicking. I'm going to just dab on the ink pad and then flick, flick, flick. You'll hear that sound as I just give a little bit of tone on tone color around the oval. Now you don't have to do that. Your ovals will still look a generous shape to build the pumpkin. But you could do this with a marker tip or if you have an ink pad. And it just adds some dimension to, helps the pumpkin feel a little bit more rounded. So I'm doing that for all three parts. And I also loved that I started with paper that had this plaid pattern in it. It has that sort of paintbrush looking crosshatch. And I think that's a cool texture for this card. So in what we do need to take out of that envelope, the foil envelope, is a little square of dimensionals. And these are mini dimensionals. And yours might be rectangular, it might be square, but it's so that you have some dimensionals for our projects tonight. And you'll also want to have some kind of glue. I love the mono multi-purpose adhesive glue. You could use a tape runner, or if you have Elmer's or some other kind of glue. Usually the rule with glue is less is more. You can always add more, but you want to start with a fine bead of glue, or as my friend Angela says, dot, 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 not a lot. So first let's build that little pumpkin. I'm going to just take dimensionals and put them on the each side. They almost look like eyeballs now, a
Aren't you
little
doing
on each side of the pumpkin. I'll remove that.
aren't you
The,
doing the branches underneath the pumpkin first?
yes, but right now I'm not on my card yet. I'm just
Got
building
it.
the pumpkin first, and
Okay.
then we'll layer it on there. So you could do it, and there's no real rule for the order, but I'm
Okay.
going to go ahead and make my pumpkin together first. So I've got those two now are sticky, and I can put this third pumpkin on top, third part of the pumpkin, so that it looks like it has that generous shape. And I'll take a little, actually, we'll build this right onto here now. So there are two leaves. I have one in one direction and one kind of the other. So that the leaves, I think that makes them look kind of natural, like the vine of the pumpkin. And we'll just kind of play around first before you secure with glue to know that you've got it in the shape that you like, the position that you like. And we'll just dot, dot, not a lot on the tiny leaves of the stem, just to make it kind of looks like vines. And you could cut those pieces away. They're not going to show. I'm just going to leave them for now. If I need to, I could trim them. Dot, dot, not a lot. I'm going to put this one over here. And then I can add my pumpkin on top here, just with a little bit of glue. I'm not putting glue on that top pumpkin that was popped up. I'm just putting it on the two left and right. Okay. Then we can go ahead and tuck in our little stem, just a little bit of glue there. And that will go behind. So we have a pumpkin ready to pick from the patch. And our greeting, remember yours might be different from mine. It will be another gold foil greeting of you make me happy or hello or celebrate, thinking of you. And I'm going to pop this up too with the dimensionals. So I'm going to take those little mini dimensionals, just walk a few across the word. Now, dimensionals are strong adhesive, so you don't need a ton, but some people like to put more to kind of cushion the card when it's put in an envelope or when it's held. I generally use a lot of dimensionals, but not as much as some people do. And then we can add that hello to the card. So it's a harvest hello or a happy thinking of you fall time card. That one came together very quickly. We just used a little bit of ink to add some accent. Here's the original one so you can see with the You Make Me Happy. And there is design on the back. So some of you who might be more frugal with your craft supplies, I know I've seen people cut their card base apart. So you could slice this here and then you'd have two card fronts and you could put that onto a plain piece of paper or share it as a postcard. And it just helps to stretch your supplies. So I
Just
love
a
this, feels very extravagant to have it front and back with the gold.
just a
Yes,
quick
Julia?
question about the hello. There's filling in the L's. Um,
Yes, it's just the way the
that's part of it. It's always
yep,
like that.
yep. The die cuts the die cut for the hello, you can see here has that
Okay.
open area. So when you see it up close, you can feel the hello a little bit easier
Yeah.
and see the differentiation there. But yeah, you could if you cared, you could use like a cutting blade, a hobby blade to go
Mm,
inside to make it more defined there.
okay.
Yeah. Hello. Okay. So that one we've got, we can now take out the other pieces that are in our um, foil envelope, okay? Because the what you have inside here now are the pieces for the origami um, candy holder or tea holder that we'll make next. We won't need our scissors for this, so let me move those things aside. Okay, we're going to need something like a bone folder or a spoon or your finger and your fingernail to really kind of make good creases. A bone folder is an excellent tool for helping to make creases really defined, or you can also use it to make score lines. It's a wonderful tool. And so we have a piece of designer series paper that measures 6 by 6, and then some little add-ons inside. We have a piece that we're going to put inside our folder. You'll see when I open this up here that the tea bag really holds it together nicely, but the chocolate, of course, is a special treat. So then inside, we can decorate it, and you can kind of see now that where we're heading with all of these fold lines. Okay. And I'm going to go slowly, and you know that you can watch this as a recording. Julia will be posting it to YouTube, and it will be here on Facebook. So you can rewatch this. And the nice thing about watching on replay is you can pause, do the step, rewind, continue. So today, though, I'll talk through the steps with you as we work together. So there, the the paper is two-sided, and we're going to do quite a bit of scoring or folding and burnishing those score lines. So that's already folded in half for you, so you've got that first one done, and then we're going to open it and fold it in the other direction. So we're just making squares. Well, it'll be two rectangles right now. Usually what I do is kind of line up at the edge and then mush it a little bit with my hand and then firm it, burnishing with the tool. So now we have 4 quadrants. We're next going to fold it in to make tall towers here, 2 tall towers. I'm going to fold and crease. And what's fun about origami is most often it's symmetrical. Most often what you do for one side, you turn and do for the other side. So I find origami very relaxing. It's kind of a repetitive exercise. And whenever you're first learning a fold, it can take some time and can be a little frustrating. But it's the kind of thing where after you do several, it's that muscle memory and you kind of come up with your own little tricks to remember the steps. So we had our fourths, then we put it, now we've got these tall towers. We're going to open that up again. And now we're going to fold in the triangles. So I'm taking the tip into the center of the square. And these fold lines will help you as you're working to keep things straight. Now, I'm not perfect, so when I do this, sometimes the edges are not going to line up exactly right at the end, and that's okay. This is a treat that's going to be enjoyed, hopefully regifted, right? You could easily eat the chocolate and then put some tea in there for your neighbor and put it in her mailbox or with some flowers or in a lunchbox. I think this would be a fun surprise. But as I'm telling you that, it's to remind yourself that it's not for perfection. It's really, you want to line things up the best you can, but it will still come together even with some variation to it. And it's just a piece of paper, started life at 6 inches by 6 inches, so you could practice this with other paper. This particular paper is fun to work with because it's double-sided, but even if you have copy paper to play with or tear a page from a magazine and cut it into a square, you can do this with different sizes. So now we've folded in our triangles. We're opening that up. And now we're going to fold in just tiny triangles from each tip to this line that we folded with the triangle. So the tip goes in and flat like this. So you can see it was like that. We pulled it out and we're just folding it in. And we've got a good line here to score against. And we're doing that 4 times. There we are. And I find it really, really, really helps to crease for all origami. But when I make paper cranes, I don't usually use a tool. I just do that in my hands in the air. But this kind of folding I like to do with flat. Okay, so now's the part that's a little bit more tricky. And you're going to see here, if I folded this in again, it's going to make a mitered corner like a V here. What we want to do is reverse this fold so that the V goes onto the inside. And I'll do that again. It looks a little bit like a ship right now on each corner. So the part right here that's a V, if I folded it like that, we're going to reverse that, push in. Let's see. Yeah, there's my fold. Push in to make it. Oh, I know what I had. My little triangles went a little too far. I'm going to have to fix. Nope, I'm okay. So this one here, like this. And we have to do that on all the 4 sides. Let's do the opposite one next. It might feel a little bit easier. We push it in and score down. Okay. Now we have to do the opposite sides in. So now we have those triangles. We're going to reverse the fold of the triangle and fold that one. Mine's a little wonky, which is okay. I'll show you on another one too. There we go. Okay. Let me set that one aside. I'm going to pull this one to show you. It's with the same paper design. And so if I open this back up just to show you one more time that reverse fold, it would look like this, but instead we're going to reverse it and tuck it in. Is that making somewhat sense, Julia?
It makes sense. I'm probably going to have to watch it a few times through.
Yeah, and it would be come to the library in the morning, friends, and I can do it with you in person. But it's a fun fold to do. I don't know if I think it makes sense if I'm going to start with one more and do it so you do see it again, and as you watch it, you'll be able to see it done twice. And again, you can rewind and replay. But I'll take another minute to show you. This one might be a little easier to see because there's a greater contrast of color. So
And I think it'll be good if you show exactly which points are going to which other points.
okay, great. So remember, we started off by folding just in half, and then the other direction folding in half. Now we're going to make the tall towers in both directions. That was the error that I made before, was I only made towers in one direction. So I didn't have as many fold lines to help me. And that's key. So now I'm doing it this time, folding it in, making sure whatever I did in one direction, I do in the other.
And you're folding
That's
the
what my
edge.
error was. The first time was I only made towers in one direction.
Yeah, and you're
Okay.
folding the edges to the center
To the
fold line,
center. Yep.
to the fold
So
line.
now what we have is it's got 16 squares now. Each of these pieces is a square. So you can look and see that you've got all of those square pieces folded, and that will then it's a much easier to do the triangle part if you have all of those square pieces done. Okay. So now we're going to fold in the triangles, and we've got a halfway point right here. We're folding into there. And sometimes it's easy to do like north and south or up and down, and then the east and west, um, left and right, so that you're opposite. Okay, now I have this. These triangles both went into the middle. Now the left and right ones will go into the middle. There we go. Okay. So now what happens is these four little triangles we have in the little squares we have in the middle, we're going to fold them into triangles like this. So you fold this out, and then just the tiny triangles goes in. Again, you're using the score lines you've already made as a guide of how far to fold.
So the tip of the point goes down to the fold line.
Yep. It's everything's being symmetrical, and it's folding right into, it's almost like creating a box right now. Okay. Now from this place is where we're doing the reverse fold. So I'll hold this up and you can see there's a triangle right here. And this is the piece that we're going to push away from us to reverse the fold. And it makes it now like a little boat. I'll do that again over here. We're going to reverse it. You just push and reverse. And it's much easier to do across from each other, then turn. And now we can see here's that triangle. We're going to flip it, and that makes that fold down. Do it on this side too. Flip it and fold it in. So it's fun to do. You always could use your piece of paper for something different if this felt overwhelming to you, friends. But I really enjoy origami, and as I said, it's a great hobby, really, as a relaxing kind of thing. I have a good friend, Bev, and her husband Gordy just passed away. They were traveling in Canada, and I was with Bev last week, and she shared with me a remembrance that Gordy loved origami, and whenever he would be at a restaurant or traveling, at the airport or whatever, he always had bits of paper, and he would fold origami treats to give to children as he was out and about. So now I'll always remember Gordy with love and fondness, that he enjoyed, sharing. It's just a little bit of magic, really, that you can share with people. So I assure you, if you practice this one a few times, you'll get it down. Um, it's just a lot of squares and then triangles. So then what you can do, we're going to decorate the inside before we put our chocolate in there. Okay. So I'll take this one that I have, like similar to the papers that you have, and we have a little stamp that says, "Enjoy this spooky treat for Halloween time." And you could write someone's name inside, or a riddle. Could be any kind of surprise. And then we have these little fun, happy Halloween figures that we can use our dimensionals to add one to the inside. And let's see, this is what it's going to look like. We can decide whether we want which colors and pieces we want for the outside. I think I'm going to put the bold or solid colors on the outside, and have this little boo ghost be on the inside of the card as a surprise. There we are. And we'll glue that into the center. This measures just under 3 by 3 inches, a little bit smaller, because that's the size of our opening. We're going to tuck it inside. And then when we fold it up, we can put that candy inside or a tea bag. Tuck it in. I think this would be fun for a Thanksgiving table or a harvest dinner. You could make it with pretty papers with fall leaves, or you could make them at Christmas time, or for a birthday favor. You just match up the paper to the theme, or use a more neutral theme paper. And these I just think are fun, smiley, happy favors to share. Put on someone's desk at work, or in a lunchbox for Halloween. If you were to give them out at Halloween to kids, they would fall out probably. Like, you would maybe use a little glue dot to secure it. Hi, my husband just got home. Hi, honey. Um, or a tea bag fits a little more securely. Kids would love this, of course, but the chocolate would probably come out. We also tried Reese's peanut butter cups, and they will fit inside too. So, so happy Halloween. Let's move next to our second Halloween project. And this one is easier because the pieces are already cut and folded. You don't have to do any crazy origami folding for this one. The parts for this card are in this little striped bag, so I hope you'll repurpose this in some way. It's perfect for Halloween, but it can also be a happy, cheerful bag for any time of the year. And inside we have a little spider and a spider web and a black box. Now we are doing some folding. They've done the scoring for us, but we are going to do some folding to put the box together. So for this one, when you'll have your paper engineering degree after our class tonight, using manipulating the papers. You'll see what I'm doing is just scoring or folding on the score lines to get all of them comfortable all the way around the box. And what's cool about this is it creates a bottom. So the whole thing is black. Even though when we're starting, one side is black and one is white. It's kind of cool engineering how this is put together. So what we have to do is lock in the sides of the box, all these little flaps. I guess it's hard to see on my white mat. Let me put this here in case that will help a little bit. Okay. So we have these 4 smaller flaps, and those are going to get tucked inside. We won't need any glue for this. It's just going to be held together by the paper. So this goes inside, and then we're going to take this one
Side
goes next.
flaps, side flaps.
Yep, the side flaps are going to, first we put this edge one in, this long one, and then we're going to wrap these side ones down like that. And then the last is this long piece, and that's going to wrap over those 2 flaps and then tuck inside. And there's a
Wow.
groove there, so it fits. It's this beautiful little tray. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the slider, the little box piece, we just need a little bit of adhesive to secure the around the edges. And see if I have my tearing tape right handy here. This
So
is
that's everywhere that it had scored, you just fold it
I
in.
just folded in, correct. And then what we're going to do is just line up the edge with this fold here. So the glue will go right to the edge like that.
You could
And
use
then it's,
double-sided tape, or you could use glue,
yep,
or
you
you
could
could
use
use
either. So I have tear and tape, which I recommend, but I'll go ahead and use my Tombow glue because you could use either. And a good trick is to keep it flat. So I'm going to put the glue just on, not right close to the edge because it'll drizzle a little bit. So you'll see
Yeah.
I've put some on there, but not right close to the edge. And then what I'm going to do is put it flat on my surface and fold the first score line, fold that over. And that way it lines up nice and straight, and you're not holding it in the air and trying to fuss with the fold. Okay, just push down like that. And then we have the slider ready to go on top of the matchbox. This is really fun. Now, our decorations tonight have a little bit of sparkly black stars, and we have a couple different pieces of colors of paper that we can stamp on or write the person's name that you're gifting it to. And then we have a little spider. So I'm going to slide this box in here. And I'm going to use the color, it's called Orchid Opulence. It's a really fun purpley color. And I love the combination of purple and orange all year round. But when you add in the black as well, it's just a happy Halloween combination. So I'm using that purple ink on there for Happy Halloween. And then we've got, still have a few more of our dimensionals someplace. Let's see if I have buried mine. Here they are. Okay. So that we can put together the Happy Halloween on top of the sort of orangey yellow paper. And just use a couple of dimensionals there. So then once I have this in place, I can slide my spider the way where I want him. But I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue, kind of dot, 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 not a lot, just a couple dots across here on this where the spider web is sticking up with the white so that I can catch that with the paper and the glue. You can slide out your box and use some pressure inside the web to help that adhere. We'll tuck our little spider in. So again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the web. You won't need a lot to secure him, and tuck him in there. So it's like he's hanging from the web. Slide the tray in. Oh, I guess I need a little more glue because he's moving around. Let's put a little bit on his, what do you call that? The thread, the spinning, the thread of the web. Is it called thread?
It's called webbing, I think.
Webbing. Okay. That will help it secure better.
Yeah. Do you need to put one on a dot on his tummy to keep it, or is it?
Yeah, I put it just on the white
Oh, the white of
because
his
I didn't
tummy.
want it to seep through underneath here. It's a
Yeah.
little bit tricky to secure because you don't want to have too much glue, so this is sticky inside.
Okay.
It will dry, and you just give it time before you put your goodies inside there to let that dry so it doesn't stick.
Wow.
Is any fun? I love the die cut image here. And then we have these happy stars, sparkly stars. I'm just going to add, they add a little bit of Halloween magic.
And a
And they
triangle,
have a sticker on them already, so you'll just peel them off.
of course, in a triangle.
Yes, yes, to move our eyes around the project. That's right. So there's that Halloween one. So we're ready for some special kids that come to our house or for a coworker. Or do you have trick-or-treaters where you live, Julia?
Yes, I do. I'm over on Mechanic Street and
Oh, great. Yeah.
I don't get as many as the people who are right on the road that goes behind the school, but
Yeah.
we come off of that road, so we're
Excellent. Oh, I bet you do have a good crew. That's fun. We have a lot of kids too. I like to keep track each year. I think our record was like 130 or something.
Wow.
Um, but usually it's like in the 70s or 80s.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of fun to see all the costumes, and we enjoy that. So let's see. My husband likes to dress up too. We have a chicken costume, which is kind of silly and fun. And we do different things, but it's fun to be able to, if it's a nice evening, if it's dry, it's nice to sit right outside to greet the kids, and
Yes.
it's a lot of fun. Okay, so we're going to finish tonight with a card that uses this really pretty designer series paper. And I realized as I was preparing earlier today that I gave all my kits for this card to the library. I didn't have a kit for myself to reproduce it tonight.
Oh,
So I'm going to share it with you just with a white paper to show the dimensions, so you'll know how we're putting it together. But you'll have in your packet an envelope that has the paper. It's already scored for you. This beautiful leaf paper, and the other designer series papers and things like that. What you're going to do, I'll put that right there, and then I'll show you the dimensions for folding. The paper starts at 5.5 inches by 12 inches, and then we score it 1.5, 3 3/4, and 7 3 3/4. And the way this works is that one at the end folds in. so that you have the contrast. You'll have green here and then all the beautiful leaves. And then we fold the opposite way. And a lot of folding tonight, huh? A lot of cutting and folding and scoring. So that you're going to go the opposite fold. And then one more time, it's kind of making a little mini accordion here. It won't line up at the edge. That's intentional. You're going to have a little bit of a strip here. So don't feel like it's measured incorrectly. There'll be a little bit of leftover strip there. And then that's going to be our card base. Now, I chose to secure that green piece down on top of the leaf. You actually don't have to. You can have that piece kind of open and fold as well. But I liked that it gave a little more sturdiness to this card because designer series paper is less thick than standard cardstock. So when you just have a designer series paper or like a copy paper card, it's pretty lightweight. But if you start to layer the papers by putting adhesive, so what you'll do is just add some adhesive to that smaller piece, fold that back, and that's giving some sturdiness to that, so that when we attach our decorated pieces, that flap is a little bit stronger. Whoops, how do we, yeah, this way. That flap is stronger to open up. Okay.
Mhm.
So let me show you some of the stamping tips. And again, you can use whatever supplies you have at home to do your stamping. It'll show up better if I have this underneath here. And when I'm using the photopolymer stamps, it's a good idea to have a cushion. But tonight I'm doing a little farewell to the red rubber stamp sets. Stampin' Up! Is no longer going to manufacture the red rubber stamps. We're only going to be having the photopolymer stamps available in our line. And that is because the red rubber is a natural resource and it's getting harder and harder to source that material. So Stampin' Up! Has decided to be kind of ahead of it and say we're going to transition on our timeline rather than being stuck in mid-production when they're not able to source that material. So I'm an old school. I've been stamping for over 30 years and with the company for over 26 years. So I really love our red rubber. There's a quality of it. It's called distinctive stamps when they have a lot of detail in them. And that's a little harder to achieve with the photopolymer. But I found that the friends who come to the library love the photopolymer because we can see right where we're going. So there's definite advantages, but it's a little bit bittersweet. So I thought we would say goodbye tonight um, with our stamps. And let's see if I have here's the gather. Okay. So for the circle on my stamp, that you'll have a white circle and a green circle that you can layer. And I'm going to use match up the color of ink to the color of that green. It's called shaded spruce. It's a really, really pretty color. Let me move my handies out of the way there. And so this is a fun stamp set called Gathering Moments. And I love the distinctive rubber stamps. You'll see there's a lot of shading in the images and then lots of versatile greetings. So gather, it's always fun to gather with you as we do our stamping together and card making together here in person at the library or with Zoom. And then now I'm going to show you the some pieces with some stamping with the I just have to get another paper really quickly. Here it is, another scrap paper. I'm going to go off the edge of my stamping, so I want to have a paper to show. It might be a little trickier to see, but I want to protect this mat by having when you're stamping off of an image, you want to have some scrap paper there so it doesn't go off. But as I said, this stamp set is called the distinctive stamp set because it has such detail in the stamps. I'm going to do it first on the scrap paper to make sure it's not too blobby or it's not too unevenly inked. And what I can do if I want to move the ink around is use the back of a spoon or a old credit card or old gift card and kind of mush that ink through so that it's not blobby.
Hmm.
And then I can see again if that made a difference to help it even out. And you can see there's even the veins you can see of the leaves here. Okay. So that's the yellow. Let's go ahead and add some yellow. I'm actually going to show you how I refill the inks. Um, this is a color called Crushed Curry. And I'm going to add a little more ink because I want to show you again the trick about it being if it gets too blobby. So I've got my re-inker right in the pad. And so this is freshly juiced up. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to ink it and stamp it on the scrap paper. And there you can see there's a lot of like
Oh, wow.
too much ink, right?
Much more texture though.
It is cool to have the texture. So there's you have to kind of decide the look you're going for exactly. But
Right.
I'm
And
going
it
to just
also
smooth
has
that
a
ink.
lot longer drying time when you have that much on there.
Yes, and our inks do dry quite quickly, but you have to be sensitive to that. If you wouldn't want to stamp it and then immediately put something else on top of it because it will pick up ink. So there we go. So yeah, so we've got a lot of nice veining here and then the texture around the edge. Okay, I'm going to also add a little bit of this speckle onto here. I'm going to stamp off and then on my project. So I'm getting a little less concentration of ink, but a little bit of texture here. It's maybe a little harder to see that on screen, but
Oh, it's
it
good.
adds it makes it look kind of like fabric, I think. Okay, so that's our crushed curry. Then let's have our real red. And what I'm doing is taking the color palette from this beautiful designer series paper. So it has that red, the curry yellow, green is called granny apple green, appropriate again for fall. And the red, real red is that bright red. So we'll take that image with the leaf. And again, I'm going to stamp it first on the scrap paper to show you it's pretty concentrated.
Wow.
Let's go ahead and move that ink a little bit to the side. You can actually see the color changing here on the pad when I pull that ink away. Do you see how it's much lighter
Yep.
in the middle? So then I can take my stamp, let's see, and I'm going to have a more defined leaf vein image here. This is when I didn't do that, and this is when I did. So again, it's the look you like. You might mix and match, but I do love that you can really see that veining. So now we'll go ahead and add the red. I'm kind of making it a little bit like a wreath around around the shape of the circle. We've got Granny Apple Green next to add some of this kind of fern greenery. And that one is a little bit lighter, but I like that it has, again, that nice texture mixed in. Okay. So now we have our circle, and you in your kit have a green circle. So you'll take, after you've added imagery to this, it could be a favorite verse or you even could do a photo. It would be kind of neat to make this a card that had a photo as its focal point here. However, you decide to add design to this. So let me just go back a little bit and tell you when you put this yellow piece on, you're going to mount it to the front of the card where this flap is. And so it's important that you don't put any adhesive on this side of the card. You want that to remain a flap. So your stickers, your little
Dimension.
dimensionals here are just going to go a few places on this front flap here, this side. Pretend that this is that pretty paper. And that way it will pop up. It will have a little dimension there. You can see in here it's popped away from the card, but it's room to flap. Okay. And then you can add with dimensionals again your circle. And for the inside piece, we can stamp another little set of leaves. Let's see if I can find my picture here. Okay. So this is a nice set that has some really terrific expressions of gratitude. There's one that says, Your friendship means the world to me. One says, expressing heartfelt gratitude. That's a really nice one. Then we have the many thanks. And I love that that's really nice. It's going to have some words on here, and I'm going to add a few leaves, but there's definitely still room for me to write a nice message. Okay. And Remember, if you're working on a surface, have a scrap paper so that your leaves can go right off the edge. It makes things look more natural when there's movement. And here's the green. I love this granny apple green color. There.
Nice.
Yes, it's fun. And I'm going to add just a little more of this cool texture too, that just adds, if I stamp off and then on, stamp off, and then maybe stamp once or twice or three times, you'll see the shading lightens each time as you stamp without re-inking, and just add some cool texture. So this will go on the green rectangle and then on the inside of your card. Now, in this case, you're just sort of framing. There's going to be a space of leaves all the way around. You don't have to line it up exactly, but that's going to be centered here. And then if you had a photo, that if you didn't put a photo on the front, you could have space here for a photo or another design. But I really love that it has so much leaves, so much color, and I think it's a really delightful card. So when this is displayed on someone's bedside table or dresser, or on their mantle, it's going to have a lot of color and cheer to it.
Mhm.
Now you'll notice there's one thing to add that we didn't talk about, which is the embellishments, and there should be a little piece of gems in your kit, a little strip of gems, and they are that pretty golden yellow color. So I chose to just add them again in a pattern of three, a trio of that little bit of sparkle, which I think is a lot of fun for this cheerful card. If anybody has any questions, I love questions. They help me learn things. So you can put them in the comments or reach out to me with your questions. I'm going to bring back in the projects that we completed tonight and look forward to seeing many folks tomorrow at our kit together in person.
Yeah, don't forget the chocolate.
Yes, I'll be sure to have chocolate with me tomorrow too. But the tea bag fits that same
Uh-huh.
3x3 space as well. And hopefully this will be a fun trick for you to remember too, is the ovals. You can
Yes.
use a punch to cut them or just freehand your ovals, because just like a real pumpkin, there's not going to be perfect symmetry. And so that's just a fun way to add dimension and shape to the pumpkin. So these were lots of fun. I hope you enjoyed, and be patient with yourself as you're learning origami. If you go back and rewind and replay, there are also a lot of videos through Pinterest and YouTube on origami. And so there's lots of instruction. There are books at the library also with origami, and sometimes they have the printed templates. Helps people sometimes when you see where to score, you see it visually as well as watch someone do it. So I encourage you to find those resources if it's something that interests you. Thanks, Julia, for another fun evening together.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, everybody have a happy, safe Halloween time and harvest season. We did get some pumpkins for our front steps. We don't always carve them, but I do love having the orange on our steps. The squirrels usually often take care of the carving for us. So we'll see about that. But be well, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next month.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.